Hey everyone, welcome to Global Entrepreneurship Week. We are joining more than 170 countries in celebrating entrepreneurship and the amazing innovators and entrepreneurs who make this world a greater place. My name is Steven Rodriguez. I am with Techstars. I'm the Startup Program's Regional Manager for the US and Canada, and we're part of the worldwide network that helps entrepreneurs like you succeed. We do that through various programs like Techstars Startup Weekend, Techstars Startup Week, or one of the many accelerators we have all over the world. And we're super humbled and inspired to bring you a character today. We have none other than Guy Kawasaki. For those who may not know, Guy is a serial entrepreneur, serial investor. He's the host of the hit Facebook Watch series Wise Guy. He's also involved with Canva.com, Cheese, brand ambassador for Mercedes-Benz, and world-renowned author of titles such as Art of the Start 2.0, Wise Guy, Lessons from a Life, and he's about to start his own podcast the first week of December, Guy Kawasaki's Extraordinary People. Remarkable people. Sorry, Guy. Thank you. And so without further ado, I want to introduce you to Guy Kawasaki, who will share more as to how to do a great pitch. Take it away, Guy.
All right, thank you. Welcome to my home in Northern California, in Silicon Valley. I'm going to provide a very tactical and practical mini lecture about how to improve your pitch. I have been an entrepreneur as well as a venture capitalist, so I've been on both sides of this process, pitching and being pitched to. And I just like to pass along some very practical tips so that you can improve your pitch. If there's no, Steven, am I ready to go? Just fire away. Can I just do it?
Yep, you are live.
Okay. So some tips for you. So the first thing is resist the temptation to send your pitch in advance to the people you're pitching it to. I think a lot of people say, well, I'll send it in advance. This way they'll have a chance to study it. They'll be familiar. If you're doing it remotely, that reduces the dependence on technology because they'll have a piece of paper or they may print it out or at least have it on their local computer. So I don't have to worry as much about internet access, et cetera, et cetera. I understand all of that theory, but I think that if you send a pitch in advance, actually the worst case is if they look at it in advance because they're going to look at it without any kind of information, emotion, eye contact, anything like that. They're going to rip through it, and they will already have decided about your pitch before you even come in. Now, if they don't look at your pitch, then, logically the question is, well, why did I send it? So the way I look at it is if you send it and they don't look at it, you didn't have to send it. And if you send it and they did look at it, there's much more downside than there is upside. The concept that you're going to send the pitch in advance and they're going to look at it and, oh my God, they're going to be so blown away that as soon as you walk in, they're going to say, well, we need your banking instructions because we don't even need to hear what you're going to say. We love your pitch so much that we're going to send you the money today. That's about as likely as me becoming a professional surfer, okay? So it ain't going to happen that way. So don't send it in advance. You need to perform this pitch in real time, in person if possible, and don't let anything precede you. That's tip number one. Tip number two is kind of a, shall I say, duhism, that the greatest pitch is a great product. This is called Guy's Golden Touch. So Guy's Golden Touch is not whatever I touch turns to gold. That's not true. Guy's Golden Touch is whatever is gold Guy touches. So the key to a great pitch is not the keynote file or the PowerPoint file, or actually you can do this in Canva now. Canva has presentation templates 16 by 9. It's not the pitch that makes the pitch great. It's really the product and the people. And so you could have the shittiest pitch in the world in terms of the document, but if you have a great product, you probably don't need a pitch at all. So the key is to remember that it's all about the product or the service. It's not about the document. And if you would remember that, I think one of the consequences of that is, we got to finish our prototype. Finishing a prototype is more important than finishing your pitch. And if you finish your prototype and now the dogs are eating the food, that is the absolute best case. That, now you have a product or service and your pitch is, well, we released it a month ago and 10,000 people are signing up for it per day. Hallelujah. I mean, that's the kind of pitch I want to see, as opposed to, going into the typical drivel about we have patent pending, curve jumping, paradigm shifting, enterprise scalable product and service that can scale and is easy to use. And my rock star co-founders and I are really passionate and we really believe and we're going to deliver on time and we're hardworking and honest. I mean, everybody says the same thing. It's all bullshit. So if you can have a product that speaks for itself, that's a great pitch. The third point I have for you is called the Guy Kawasaki rule of pitching, which is 10-20-30. The 10-20-30 rule is that your pitch should have approximately 10 slides. It should be able to be done in 20 minutes, and the smallest font should be 30 points. 10 slides. If you would Google, the only slides you need in a pitch plus Guy Kawasaki, you'll find an article where I list the 10 slides that you need in a pitch. It ain't 20, it ain't 40, it ain't 5, it's 10. So, maybe it's 12, but it ain't 20. So Google that and find out the 10 things that I think are necessary in a pitch. No more, and it's okay to be less. So 10 slides, 20 minutes because meetings start late, meetings end early, and 30 points. The reason why I force 30 points is because it forces you to put less text on your pitch. And I will tell you that the less text you have on your pitch, the better your pitch will be. And if you think you need 8, 10, or 12 because you need complete sentences and lots of bullets and lots of graphs with lots of call-outs and all that, you're deluding yourself. So take all the text in all your pitches and just select it all, change them all to 30 points, and then keep cutting until everything fits. 10, 20, 30. Another power tip about this is that you should make your background black, or at least dark. I think a black background shows gravitas, so seriousness. It makes your pitch easier to read. It just looks much more professional than a white background, because basically a white background is saying, I booted PowerPoint or I booted Keynote. You'll never make a white background pitch with Canva because we refuse to put that template out there. So it shows gravitas and seriousness and professionalism. So make your background black. Black is the new black. The next concept is, and I use an airplane analogy to explain this. I think a lot of people, they think they need to build to a crescendo. So they start off by saying, I'd like to introduce, all the members of my team. I want to tell you about each of our backgrounds, starting from when our parents came over on the Mayflower, or our parents came over from Mexico, or our parents came over from Canada, or, whatever. And so you tell everybody's story, and then you tell the story of, how you came up with the idea, and then you tell the story of how you developed the idea, and 15 minutes into your pitch, the people are still wondering, what the hell do you do? Is it hardware? Is it software? Is it software as a service? Is it, what is it that you do? Because you're trying to build to this crescendo. So the airplane analogy I want to use for you is, at the extreme, there are two kinds of airplanes. Hey, Stephen, can I suggest something? Can you mute your end? Because every time you move, you're making noise on this. Okay? So here's the airplane analogy. Two kinds of airplanes. One kind of airplane is a 787 or a 747, even though they're retired now. So 787 Dreamliner, 747, Airbus 380. At the other extreme is an F-16. And the Airbus 380, the 787 Dreamliner, it takes 2 miles of runway. You know, it kind of goes down the runway and it goes, and finally, to everyone's relief, this, 500,000-ton kind of thing takes off. At the other extreme, there's the F-16. The F-16 is on an aircraft carrier in the middle of the Pacific. It has 150 meters, catapults off. It goes boom, 1.2 seconds. It's either off or in the water. There are no choices, off or in the water. You should think of yourself as an F-16. So you want to take off fast. You don't want to spend 15 minutes talking about your team, talking about your education, talking about your technology, talking about the potential size of the market. You're not a Dreamliner, you're an F-16. Get the hell off the deck as fast as possible. If I were pitching Canva to you, in the first 30 seconds, I would tell you Canva is an online graphics design tool. Boom! You know what I am. It's for graphics. It's online. It's a tool. It's not content. That's what people want to hear. They want to know, okay, 30 seconds into it, I get it. Canva is an online graphics design tool. You could embellish. Canva is an online graphics design tool to democratize design. Think of us as Photoshop for the rest of us. In that 20 seconds, I explained what the hell we do. I didn't talk about the history of graphics, the size of graphics, the number of people on the internet, how Instagram has, 100 million graphics uploaded a day. None of that bullshit. Bada bing, bada bang. F-15. Airplane. The next thing is I want you to sell a dream. Selling the dream means that you get people to fantasize about how important it is that your product exists, that your service exists. That you say that, in a world with so much noise, the social media, the presentations, the flyers, the business cards, the things that have beautiful design, that have graphics, that have, pictures, they work better, they communicate better. And so the person hearing that would say, yeah, that's right. I mean, a flyer with a great picture, a great social media post with a great picture is more effective than plain text. So you're getting people to fantasize. You're selling this dream of democratizing design so that everybody can have great graphics, and you don't have to be a graphic designer. You don't have to buy or rent Photoshop or the Creative Suite. You don't have to spend 6 weeks learning Photoshop. Sell this fantasy that when everybody uses Canva, the world is going to be a better, prettier place. Hallelujah. So sell the dream as opposed to selling the technology. I don't tell you that Canva is a SaaS-based platform, written in, I don't even know what it's written in, Ajax, whatever it's written in, and talking about all this kind of technology and all this stuff, and hosted on AWS and all that. Just like cut the bullshit and sell your dream in this world that you're proposing. How is this world better? Sell your dream. The next point is to understand that the purpose of a pitch is not to get to a yes. The purpose of a pitch is to avoid getting to a no. It's a very, very important point. Because I think a lot of people think, okay, I'm going to pitch this thing, shock and awe, and at the end of this hour, or in my case, 20 minutes, people will be so overcome with my awesomeness that they're going to say, can we get your bank wiring information? We don't need to do due diligence. We're going to write you the check right now. Okay, that ain't going to happen. So what you're trying to do is get to the next stage as opposed to being eliminated at this stage. So the next stage in an investment is, we'd like to begin our due diligence. We'd like to talk to some of the people who are using your product. We want to begin the investigation. When people are talking about due diligence and next steps, it means you haven't been thrown out. And all you want to do at this point is avoid being thrown out, as opposed to, OMG, they wrote a check in real time. That is not going to happen. Next thing is, when you're in the pitch, you should be taking notes. There's two reasons why you're taking notes. One is, God forbid, the people watching your pitch may have legitimate questions and concerns. You need to write this down. You could actually learn something in your pitch. What a concept. The second thing is, when you are taking notes, it flatters the people who are talking. So if you're pitching and people are taking notes, you think, these people really care. They pay attention. They think I'm smart. They're writing down what I'm saying. So this is a very important form of flattery. So when you're writing down notes, when you're paying rapt attention, the people around the table are thinking, wow, this entrepreneur is smart. This entrepreneur is smart because this entrepreneur is listening to me. What a concept. Play that game. And the other consequence of taking notes is, now, within a day, follow up on the questions and the notes. And if you say in the presentation that you're going to follow up with answering this question, something that was more technical than you wanted to go down that rat hole, some market sizing fact that you had to get, some reference that you'd like to provide, some reference to some white paper, whatever it is, follow through. And the way you follow through is, of course, you have to be smart enough to take the note to remember to follow through. So actually follow through within 24 hours. And so my last point is, I told you about the 10-slide theory, and you, of course, are going to Google that and look up what the 10 slides are. But I will tell you that for me, the best kind of pitch is one that actually derails even the 10-slide approach. And so the way it would work is, you take off like a F-15, right? So Canva is an online graphics design service. We have democratized design. Think of it as Photoshop for the rest of us. We enable anyone to create beautiful graphics. They don't have to buy or rent Photoshop. They don't have to spend weeks learning Photoshop. They don't have to submit a creative spec to the designers and wait for weeks for it to happen. Anybody can create beautiful graphics. Boom, done. You know what Canva is. And then you say, we're currently getting tens of thousands of people signing up for it. And rather than, me trying to explain the market size and me trying to explain our competitive advantage, let me do a short demo. So then you go into a demo and you show them how easy it is to use, how they could use it. And the 5-minute demo becomes a 15-minute demo, maybe a 20-minute demo. And then you look up and you say, oh my God, I only got to slide 3. And then we went down this rat hole called my demo. But people are so enraptured by my demo, they don't want to hear about the rest of the 7, 8 slides about your patent pending curve jumping paradigm platform with your world-class team that's never created a company before. They're so enamored by what they saw that their heads are exploding, and all they can think about is, oh my God, my kids could use this for their homework. My spouse could use this for his presentations. My parents could use this to make Christmas cards. The PTA could use this for flyers. My real estate office, now every real estate broker could create their own flyers for new listings. It's all because of the demo. So in a perfect pitch, you derail your pitch and you have a great demo. And then you look up and you say, oh, the meeting has to end. And the people say, we'd like to continue this discussion. We would like to talk to some people who are using Canva. We would like to also begin due diligence about your corporate structure, your capital table, your cap table, whatever it is. So you haven't been thrown out. There is another step, which is due diligence. And I will tell you, if you will do these things, which I just discussed in the last 18 minutes, your pitch will be better than 95% of the pitches in the world. Just do what I just said. And that is the art of the pitch in 20 minutes. Because if I'm telling you to give your pitch in 20 minutes, I sure as hell should be able to give mine in 20 minutes. So that's the art of the pitch. So we got any questions?
Yes, Guy, and thank you so much. I guess one question that came in was, hey, how do we get the slides to it? I know it might be on your website.
The slides to what?
The 10 slides that any entrepreneur should use.
Well, again, they should just Google, the only slides you need in a pitch by Guy Kawasaki, and there will be a list of slides. And listen, obviously I could provide you a template, but give me a break, okay? So I'm telling you, you only need 10 slides with very little text. You're telling me that you can't type 10 slides? Let me just say, if you can't handle creating 10 slides, you're not going to be successful as an entrepreneur. This is not going to be the hardest thing you have to do. So the hardest thing in this process is me telling you what 10 slides to use, not me providing you a template so you don't have to type in 10 pieces of text. Give me a break, man.
And now another person asked, what was the best pitch you saw?
Oh. Yeah, I'm taking so long to answer that question because I can't remember that many good pitches. I will tell you that for me anyway, and maybe I'm the only person in the world, the best pitch for me is not using Keynote or PowerPoint or even Canva. The best pitch for me is starting off by saying, let me show you a demo. I think a demo is worth 1,000 slides.
Got it. Now for another one, how did you get involved with Canva? Did you get pitched? Did that enchant you? Or?
Yes. So I was very active. This is almost 6 years ago. I was very active already on Twitter, and I believe with every tweet goes a picture. So someone who was working with me or is still working with me on social media named Peg Fitzpatrick, she was using Canva to create all my Twitter graphics. And so Canva noticed that I was using Canva, and they sent me a tweet asking if I like the product and can we meet, etc., etc. So I reached out to Peg. I said, Peg, Canva, is that the thing you're using to make our Twitter graphics? And she said, yes. I said, is it good? She said, it's very good. And I said, you think I should help them? And she said, yes, you should help them. And that's how Canva found me. I didn't find Canva.
Now, Guy, they said, when it comes to this and this way of pitching and this approach, how do you make it work for a social enterprise that's geared towards more of a social cause, like let's say mental health?
I don't think that the rules change very much. You still have to take off like an F-15. You need to explain in the first 30 seconds. We address K through 12 kids who have learning disabilities with a software application. Duh, now I understand what you do. So that's the same. You have to sell a dream where, kids with learning differences, they're not handicapped. They can have productive, successful lives. That's your dream. 10 slides to explain this dream. Try to devolve into a quick demo of what you do. How does this dream get realized? So far I haven't come up with a big difference here.
Another question is, we're repeatedly hearing that just 2 to 3% of funding goes to women, for example.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on that, and how can we change those numbers?
Okay, so first of all, the fact that 2 to 3% or whatever that low number is women, to me, is just so freaking stupid. I cannot even relate to that. Like, it seems to me that it is so hard to find good stuff to invest in, right? So it's like 1 out of 100 things is worth investing in. So it's so hard to find a good investment. It's so hard to find a good team. It's so hard to find a good CEO. Why would you make your job harder by saying, I don't even know if it's conscious, but why would you make your job harder by saying, well, I will only invest in young, male, white, Ivy League graduates? That is such a dumbass approach, because when it's so hard to find the right people, why would you reduce the gene pool from which you can draw? So that's how I feel about that number. I mean, listen, if you have a world-class idea, I don't care if you're male, female, transsexual, bisexual, heterosexual, homosexual. I could. The real question is, are you going to dent the universe, and are you going to make money doing it? That's the only salient question. So there was 2 parts to this question. So first was, what do I feel about it? What was the second part?
How do we change those numbers, or how can
Okay. So you know what? As an entrepreneur, I don't think your goal in life should be, I want to change that number, right? You don't go into a potential investor and saying, my goal in life is to get more women funded. That's not your goal in life. Your goal in life is to get funded and build a great company. If you get funded and build a great company, you will add a tick mark to that percentage. So the goal is to get great companies built. And if you do that, and I say without limiting your gene pool, then that number will change. And for any particular entrepreneur, I don't think you should let that number get to your brain, okay? Because if you start thinking, oh my God, only 2% of women get funded, I'm a woman, it's just not going to happen. The statistics are against me. Well, statistically, you are probably right. But that said, your concern is not to get 50% women funded. Your concern is you just want to get your deal funded. So I think if you look at professional sports, professional artists, professional musicians, professional hockey players, professional surfers, anything, it's 1 out of 1,000 people who are successful. So if you look at those numbers, to be a professional athlete, musician, artist, whatever, the odds are 1 of 1,000. But to be that 1 of 1,000, you have to ignore that statistic and believe you are the 1 of 1,000. So the key here is, yes, it's good to know that, what the odds are, what the math is, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's not about getting everybody else funded. All you care about is getting yourself funded. And you should ignore that macro statistic. Another example along these lines. Let's say that, we'll take 2 cases. One is you read in TechCrunch or Verve or, Verge or whatever that, venture capital funding is down for seed stage, down 50% year over year. So, what's your reaction? Oh my God. Funding is down 50%. I'll never get funded. No, if that's your attitude, you are not an entrepreneur. Your attitude should be, well, funding is down 50%, but do I give a shit about that macro statistic? No, I just want to get one company funded, mine. So the key here is to get your company funded, not to change the macro statistics. Now, the flip side also works. The flip side being, you pick up TechCrunch or you pick up Vox or, whatever, and you say, year over year, venture capital funding has doubled. Oh my God, twice as much money has come in for early stage compared to a year ago. But you're not funded. So this is the opposite case. Yeah, things have doubled, but I'm not funded. Well, does that make you happy that the macro statistic is much better? No, because you're not funded. So the bottom line is, look out for number one. Just get your own ass funded.
Thank you, Guy. And we're going to take two more questions, and we're running
Okay.
out of time. One, how can somebody pitch to you, Guy? Is there a website? Is there a venture group that you're a part of?
No, I am not active as an investor anymore. My life is dedicated to Canva, Mercedes-Benz brand ambassador. I do 50-something speeches a year. I have 4 children, and I have a podcast. So I very, very seldom write a check anymore. In fact, I can't remember the last time I wrote a check. I almost will never write a check. Sometimes I will get involved for options because of my expertise, but I'm at that stage of life where my currency is my expertise, not my money. So if you just want my money, I'm telling you, it ain't gonna happen. My expertise might happen if you knock my socks off with your demo. So yeah, I'm in a different stage of life.
Thank you, Guy. And last question, any parting words of wisdom, any inspirational quote, anything you want to leave with the community before you go?
Well, I just want to leave the community to remember that the purpose of a company is not to get funded. I think many entrepreneurs, they're so obsessed with PowerPoint and Keynote or even Canva and Word and Excel because they're going to create this like just shock and awe pitch. And they think that, once we get the money, that's the hard part. The easy part is building the company. Man, you are clueless. So when you get the money, that's when the real work begins. So just remember that the purpose of a company is to create customers, not pitches, not raise money. And that's when the hard work begins. So understand the game you're getting into. So that's thought number one. Thought number two is that I think you should approach venture capital as your last resort, not your first resort. Because the odds of receiving venture capital are roughly equal to standing at the bottom of a pool and getting struck by lightning on a sunny day. The odds are just very poor. Again, you only care about you getting funded, but you should know the odds are very poor. So don't look at venture capital as, well, that's the starting point. I get that and I begin. You should believe in your concept so much that you're going to begin whether you get venture capital or not. That's the fundable deal. And so today, with the democratization of servers and the democratization of tools and social media as a marketing engine, it costs a lot less money to start a company. Hallelujah. Good news is, cheaper to start a company, easier to start a company. Bad news is more people start companies, but life's a bitch. So I think you have to remember that. And the third point, which is kind of returning to the first point, is focus on your prototype. Because the object of a company is to create customers. You cannot create customers with pitches. You create customers with prototypes. So work on the prototype.
Thank you so much, Guy. We really appreciate your wisdom.
Wait,
and thank you.
One more thing, okay?
One more.
Yeah. I want all of you to subscribe to my podcast, okay? So this is a reinvention of myself as a podcaster because I have never done it before. And you can find out information and subscribe to my podcast at remarkablepeople.com. So, I gave you all my knowledge. I'm going to give you a lot more knowledge in my podcast. So remarkablepeople.com.
Awesome. We've just included that in the stream. Thank you so much, Guy. This was very inspiring, as always.
Have a great weekend. Have a great Thanksgiving. Take care, everybody.